Okay, so I've taken it all apart. This is about 8 to 10 hours of work of diagnosing or diagnostics on this thing to try to figure out why it's running so bad. I'll start from the beginning. It started showing a code, engine code, which was one blink and then a pause and then two blinks. Right on here, check engine. I can get it to focus. There, check engine. So one blink and then two blinks. You look that up and it says ignition coils. I found a deal online, so I bought 4 coils. Really good price. So I ordered them. Put the coils in, no difference. Still ran like crap. Before I even did the coils, I did the obvious, was change out the spark plugs. And I mean, these are the old ones here, which are probably still fine, but I got one set. That didn't work. There was still no spark. Ordered another set of plugs. There was spark. Very strange. There would be spark and then no spark. And then spark and then no spark and then no spark again. And then it was just all over the place. So like I said, I changed the plugs in there. Obviously there's the coils. I'll go grab a flashlight here. Show you where the coils are at least. Okay. Oh, here's the flashlight. So there's 2 coils on that side, and there's also 2 coils over on that side, which you can't really see too well, but there's one, and then there's one on the bottom, somewhere in there. So change the coils out. Still ran like crap. Then I moved to the injectors because I thought maybe I had a fuel issue. Those are your injectors. I took these off. A lot of work, like you have to pull the air box off. This air box has to come out. Okay, then this side piece has to come out. The nose cone. Okay, trying to get the thing to focus. This whole air chute for the air box that delivers the air has to come right off, and it's a pain. So it's connected down in here. Once you get that all off, then you can get at the injectors properly, because see, the screws are, I don't know if you can see them, but they're, let's see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, see, the screws are underneath and they're a pain to get at. So that's why you have to take the air box off. So clean those injectors out. I won't explain how to do that. There is some YouTube videos on that are very good on explaining how to clean your injectors. I could show you how I did mine because I kind of did a unique thing. Which I think I'll do another video on that, because that's a whole nother thing. So put the injectors back in, put it all back together. Boom, still not running right. Still backfiring, popping, stuff like that. Just really poor running. Really frustrating. I hate that when things don't run right. So the next part is to move to the ECU. The ECU on these F8s is the brain. Controls your fuel, your air mixture. Basically that's this guy. Zoom in on here, that guy right there. Controls your fuel, your ignition, your timing, pretty much everything. One thing came to my mind was that when it was running, it felt like it was out of time, but I looked up the specs on this. On these engines, there's no adjusting the time on them. They're either that the only way you can change the time is by actually putting in a different physical key. So that will change the time, but other than that, there's no adjusting it like like a Chevy V8 truck or something where you can put a timing gun and turn the distributor. You just can't do it on these. They're set. The timing is set. So moving forward, I looked at this guy right here. It's called a CCU, and I tested it all out and it turned out fine. It's also called a voltage regulator, but the new units, they're called CCUs. So tested that out, but that piece does basically nothing to do with the engine running. It controls your lighting, it controls your dash, anything to do with just the components, like nothing, basically all the electrical components except the engine running. And in this case, my issue was the engine running poorly. So once you eliminate the ECU on the left side and the CCU is on the right side, which it really wasn't nothing to do with that, I started researching that guys were having problems with the harness grounding out. And if your harness grounds out on the frame, then you have a direct short. Now here's your harness right here. Okay, and where it likes to rub out is where I taped it. I took it all apart. See how I have that white hockey tape? That's the rub point right there. I'll get a shot from the bottom. So check your harness basically in these areas. This is a rub point. Down here there is also a rub point, so you check that. And the last rub point, which I just zip tied it here instead, is right here. I'll zoom out and then I'll zoom in on that spot. So that's basically where it can rub out as well. Alright, so these are the rub points. Obviously I checked that, and everything was cool. No wires rubbed out on the frame. Everything was good. It was just so frustrating. Unplugged all my, this is just for your switches stuff. So if it was a switch issue, like your switch cutting in and out for no reason while it's running, well, unplug this switch. That'll give you an indication of what's going on. If it's something like farther up, see if I can pull back here. If it's farther up, to do with your switch or something like that, that'll tell you that part. So the only thing left now is there's ignition timing sensors and the stator. So I tested the stator. All the connections are in here, right in here. So these are all your different connectors, and you can test them out with a Fluke 73 tester, which is this guy. And you're going to put it to ohms, which is that little symbol there. See if it'll focus. There, that's ohms. Once you put it to ohms, if you have the schematics, here's all the schematics. See if I can, for the stator. So your charge coil 1 and 2, lighting coil, lighting timing sensor, injection coil, fuel pump coil, spark plug coil, that all comes from basically your stator. And I tested all of them and they all came in within range, so that was frustrating. Still looking good. This is where I broke down and just took it to the dealer, because I spent way too much time on it on the weekend trying to figure it out. Took it to the dealer, they hooked it to their computer, and what they found was that ignition coil sensor, which is the bottom one, I got an arrow drawn to it, that controls your low end spark, and that was the culprit right there. So that was the problem, guys.